Well, hello from Japan. This is my first video update about my time here in Japan, and I would have loved to have made one sooner, but the last 2 weeks have been pretty busy, and I had some trouble finding Wi-Fi and stuff like that, so I was unfortunately unable to make a video update before today. So what happened in the last 2 weeks is we had GT, which stands for Gospel Teams. What the gospel teams, the main purpose of gospel teams is bringing the gospel to high school students here in Japan. What the program kind of looks like as far as like structure goes is every morning we would get up early so we could go to train stations or in front of schools or near schools anyways and hand out little invitations to come to the rally for that day. We would just go up to high school students and say, hey, we're having this rally, good morning, here, go ahead and take this. And oftentimes if we were speaking English they didn't understand us, but they would take the card anyways, and the card was in Japanese, and it was an invitation to come to the rally. From there we would go get a little bit of breakfast, usually take a nap because it was really tiring getting up that early, and we would start preparing for the rally. Each rally would look like this. Usually we'd start off with the game. This was just kind of to break the ice, get to know the students a little bit. From there, we would usually do worship, a skit, which was usually centered around the gospel in some way. We would also have a message, and we'd also have testimonies. And the order would kind of switch up. But after all that was done, we would have a time where we would break into small groups and just be able to talk to the students one-on-one. We'd find out, about their interests, about their family, just kind of start to build friendships. And from there, if we felt led to, we could share the gospel specifically tailored for that student. And so because of that, there was a couple really neat opportunities I had to be able to share the gospel with students. And it was a really, really cool time in ministry. I'll share a couple specific stories with you. Not that any one of the rallies were more important than the other, I don't want to say that, but just that were some that were especially meaningful to me. There was a typhoon one night, so we expected like no students to show up, and we were like, if any show up, we'll go ahead and put on the rally for them. And we had 5 regular members show up, and we thought, that's pretty cool. A regular HiBA member is a student that normally attends one of the HiBA meetings, so usually they're Christian students. And so we're like, oh, that's pretty cool, we'll go ahead and put on this rally for them. But partway in, I think it was right after we finished worship, somebody came into the room and they were like, she brought 10 of her friends. And I was like, who brought 10 of her friends? And all of a sudden, all these high school girls just start coming into the room. They're like pouring into the room, and they fill up our room. And so we're like finding them seats, we're setting up chairs, and we're just so like, our minds are kind of blown that 11 new people were going to show up that night because there was a typhoon that night, and the typhoon was actually pretty bad. And so we got to share the gospel with these girls. I don't know each one of their stories. I don't know if they'd heard the gospel before, but I know that we got to share the gospel with probably a bunch of students that hadn't heard it before, and if they hadn't, not to the level that we were able to share it with them. So that was a really cool story. Another one was actually one of our smaller rallies that we put on. I think in total probably only about 10 students showed up, but one of the girls was a regular, and she attends a school that we found out that she is the only Christian in. Her name is Nan, and we were talking to her, and kind of long story short, we were able to encourage her and say, Nan, you are like Daniel. Somebody else said that, it wasn't me that came up with that, but they're like, Nan, you're like Daniel. You're standing up, proclaiming God when everybody else is bowing down to other things. But also during that rally, again, long story short, one girl came and she got saved on that rally. So it was a really cool rally, even though it was kind of small. It was still one that sticks out in my mind. But there's just so many stories I wish I could share. A few quick prayer requests is we were able to plant a lot of seeds during Let's Be Friends. I'm sorry. Let's Be Friends is also another name for the gospel team. It's because, as GT workers, we're going out and we're able to become friends with the students. And so that's a high aspect of it, is we want to, create these friendships and then also maintain them through them continuing to show up to HiBA. So Let's Be Friends is also the same as GT, which is also the same as Gospel Team. Sorry, just getting that out of the way. But through Let's Be Friends, we were able to plant so many seeds. I know there were tons of students that came and expressed to me that they had never heard the gospel before, and we were able to share that with them. So please be praying for those students, that that can continue to be watered within them, and that they continue to grow closer to God, and hopefully just tons of them get saved. So that's one of the prayer requests I'd like to share with you. Also, we're having a conference coming up that I'll be working at and also be teaching a little bit at. So if you could please be praying for that. Please be praying for that conference. I'd appreciate that. I wanted to end the video with this. I know that over the course of the last 2 weeks, we were, at the last count I heard, was that there were 13 high school students that got saved, which is just so incredible. That's something, us just spending an afternoon / an evening preparing for a rally, and that students get saved from it, is just so cool. Romans says, "I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation." And that's clear within these last 2 weeks that last I heard, it was 13 students, but that so many more also were exposed to the gospel. So if you see a lot of pictures from these last 2 weeks, I'm probably wearing a shirt like this. It's either this one or a purple one like this. These are the gospel team shirts that we wore. So anyways, so glad that you're watching this video. Thank you for continuing to go to the Facebook page. Thank you for continuing to go to the YouTube channel and checking that out. But also I just want to thank you for your prayer, because I know there's a lot of you that are praying for me, and I so appreciate it. So I'll keep you updated, and thank you very much.